Transfer your inheritance to me, or this marriage is over, he threatened. Please stay with me as I tell you my story, and please don't forget to support this by subscribing, liking, and sharing with your loved ones. My name is Danielle Moore. I am a Nigerian-American woman living in Austin, Texas. I am clever, hardworking, and good with computers. I started a coding bootcamp with my husband, Marcus Reed, a few years earlier. I believed in our marriage and in our future together. But now everything has changed. He is threatening me. He wants me to transfer all of my inheritance, nearly $4 million, into our joint account. If I say no, our marriage will be finished. I start to realize something is not right. I find strange transactions and fake documents that Marcus has made in my name. He opened companies and accounts without my knowledge. He made payments that were hard to explain. I start to doubt the man I thought I knew. Instead of loving and protecting me, Marcus is using me and trying to control me. I feel worried and unsure. I know I need to be careful. I start making copies of all the documents. I save messages and emails. I talk quietly to a lawyer. I find a way to back up all my files safely, where Marcus cannot destroy them. At the same time, I talk to the authorities. I report what I find. I let my lawyer know about all the transactions and the fake companies. I play it smart and calm on the outside, but on the inside, I am strong and determined. I will not let him take my future away. I let Marcus believe everything is fine. I say I am thinking about his proposal and will transfer the inheritance soon. But I am really putting my plan into action. I am collecting proof, contacting lawyers, and securing my assets. I know the marriage is already finished in my heart, but I want justice first. I will show him that I am not weak. I am not powerless. I am clever, brave, and able to fight back. Whatever comes next, I will make sure that Marcus answers for what he has done and that my future is safely in my hands once again. I remember when we first met and decided to become business partners. It all seemed so full of hope back then. I was excited and ready to start something big with Marcus. We teamed up and opened a coding bootcamp together. I did most of the back-end work, designing the coding lessons, developing the software, and making sure everything was running smoothly. Marcus was charming and comfortable talking to people. He used his ability to connect with investors and bring in funding. At first, I believed we were true partners and we were building something we could be proud of together. I ignored a few red flags in the beginning. Sometimes Marcus made decisions without asking me first. He opened accounts in my name and made transactions I hadn't approved. At first, I thought it was just a small oversight or a misunderstanding. I believed we were a team and I chose to trust him. I ignored my doubts because I wanted us to grow together and be successful. Slowly, though, I started to realize something was not right. I noticed strange payments going into companies I hadn't heard of, and documents were being forged with my name on them. The more I looked, the more I found. There were transactions that made no sense, fake businesses opened in my name, and large amounts of money routed through accounts I hadn't set up. It seemed that Marcus was not the loving, trusting person I thought he was. He was using me and my credentials for his own plans. I felt unsure and worried. I knew I had to be careful, so I started collecting proof. I made copies of all the documents. I kept messages and emails. I backed up all my files safely, somewhere Marcus could not destroy them. At the same time, I stayed calm and kept up the appearance that everything was fine. Deep down, I knew this marriage was already finished in my heart, but I decided I would stay a little longer, not because I hoped we could repair it, but because I wanted justice. I wanted the truth to come out and for Marcus to answer for what he had done. Whatever came next, I was not weak or powerless. I was strong, clever, and brave enough to take back my future and make sure this kind of betrayal would not destroy me. After my father passed away, things started to change in my marriage and in the business I built with Marcus. My dad left me a large inheritance, a small fortune that I hadn't expected. At first, I thought it would be a blessing. I believed it could help us grow our coding bootcamp and take it to the next level. But I soon started seeing a side of Marcus I hadn't noticed before. His motives seemed different. His plans were not about growing together. They were about using my inheritance for himself. Marcus insisted we use some of my inheritance to scale the business. He kept pressuring me, saying we should move quickly and make big decisions while we had the opportunity. But I hesitated. I felt unsure and nervous. There were already things about the business I didn't fully trust, transactions I hadn't approved, and decisions made without my knowledge. So I told him I wanted more time to think. Instead of listening to me, Marcus went behind my back. He opened several new companies, all registered in my name, without telling me. He even made me the chief financial officer of a crypto project I hadn't heard of and hadn't consented to be a part of. I felt surprised, confused, and deeply worried when I made these discoveries. It seemed that Marcus was not growing our business honestly. He was using me and my credentials to pursue his own goals. I started investigating quietly. I downloaded documents from the state's business directory. I made copies of the paperwork that listed me as a shareholder and a CFO, roles I hadn't chosen or even known about. I kept all this information somewhere Marcus couldn't destroy it. I backed it up safely in a place only I could find. The more I looked into it, the more I realized the danger I was in. My name, my reputation, and my financial future were all on the line. If Marcus kept using me this way, I could be liable for transactions I hadn't authorized and companies I hadn't formed. Deep down, I knew I was going to have to confront this soon, but I decided to wait, gather all the proof I could, and find a way to protect myself first. I kept up the appearance that everything was fine on the surface, but in reality, I was preparing myself to take back control of my future and make sure Marcus would answer for what he had done. Whatever came next, I was not powerless. I was strong enough to fight back. As I kept digging deeper into what Marcus had done, I started to find things I hadn't noticed before. There were fake invoices that didn't match any real transactions. There were payments made to companies I hadn't approved and revenue that seemed to disappear without a trace. It was all a messy trail, a paper trail that seemed designed to confuse me and everyone else. But I was determined to follow it and find the truth. The more I investigated, the more I discovered. There were dummy corporations set up under my name. There were payments routed through those companies and then siphoned into accounts I hadn't opened or authorized. It seemed that Marcus hadn't physically cheated on me with another person. Instead, he had stolen something far more valuable. He had stolen my credentials, my name, and my financial future. He was using me as a mask to carry out transactions that were not his. And now, it was up to me to uncover all the details. I downloaded every piece of information I could find, fake invoices, bank transactions, registration documents, and made copies of everything. I backed it all up on a separate hard drive, a small offline server that I kept safely hidden. I wanted to make sure that no matter what Marcus tried to destroy or erase, I would have a record of the fraud. As I pieced together the puzzle, I started to realize just how much damage he had done and how much danger I was in if I remained passive. His actions could put me in legal trouble, destroy my reputation, and wipe me out financially. But I was not powerless. I was careful and clever, and I made sure I kept every piece of evidence safely in a place where it couldn't be tampered with. This was a turning point for me. I decided I would not be a victim in this story. I would use everything I had, my knowledge of technology, my ability to follow a trail, to bring the truth to light. Whatever came next, I was going to fight back. I was going to show Marcus that I was not weak or naive. I was strong, I was brave, and I was smarter than him. His fake companies and ghost transactions were not going to destroy me. I would make sure justice was done and that I kept control of my future. I remember the moment I walked into the room with all the documents I had collected. My hands were shaking a little, but I kept myself calm. I put the papers on the table in front of Marcus, the fake invoices, the transactions routed through companies in my name, the payments that were siphoned off without my knowledge. I laid it all out in black and white. There was no denying it. There was no place for him to hide. He didn't try to pretend it hadn't happened. He didn't say it was a mistake or a misunderstanding. Instead, Marcus looked me in the eyes and made a threat. He said I should transfer my inheritance to our shared legacy, his way of framing it, as if we were a team, a perfect marriage of resources. But I knew the truth. His shared legacy meant everything would be under his control, not mine. Then came the worst part. He said that if I didn't do it, if I chose not to transfer the money, he'd walk away and take everything I'd been working for. My companies, my future, and all the years of hard work I put into this would be gone in an instant. It was meant to intimidate me, to make me afraid of losing it all. But I kept a calm face. I kept my expression neutral, not letting him see the fear or the rage I felt inside. I listened quietly, letting him say whatever he wanted to say. I nodded and kept my voice firm and composed when I answered him. I need time to think. It seemed reasonable. It seemed weak, but it was a lie. My mind was already made up. I already knew what I was going to do. Behind that calm expression, I was planning my next move. I had all the documents safely backed up and hidden away. I had proof of what Marcus had done, and I was not going to let him win. Whatever pressure or danger came from this, I was ready for it. I was going to fight back and take control of my future. I would not be manipulated or forced into submission. Whatever came next, I was going to make sure the truth came out and that justice was done. Marcus thought I was weak and unsure, but I was much smarter and much more prepared than he believed. His downfall was already in motion. I decided it was time to be clever and careful. I told Marcus I was ready to do things his way, that I was going to transfer my inheritance into our shared legacy. I acted calm and agreeable. I nodded when we made plans. I listened quietly when he explained how we would move forward. Inside, I felt a rush of nervousness and fear, but I kept it all hidden. I let him believe I was weak and unsure, someone who was going to fold under pressure. That was exactly what I wanted him to think. Meanwhile, I was busy putting my own plans into action. Without Marcus suspecting a thing, I started contacting the IRS and filing fraud alerts on all the transactions I had uncovered. I made sure the authorities knew about the companies opened in my name and the payments routed through them. I was protecting myself and making sure there was a clear record of what was going on, a paper trail that could be used against him if it came to trial. At the same time, I made sure to reclaim my digital identity. I changed all my passwords and closed the accounts that Marcus had opened without my consent. I secured my financial documents, my email, and my phone. Anything that belonged to me was put back under my control. It was a huge step forward in protecting myself and making sure Marcus couldn't destroy or manipulate my future. I also quietly informed our investors about the new ownership terms. I explained what had been happening and assured them that I was addressing it and putting safeguards in place. To my surprise, many of them supported me and were willing to back me through this. It made me realize I was not powerless. I was strong, and I had allies who believed in me. Lastly, I consulted a white-collar crime lawyer in confidence. I explained everything: the fraud, the theft of my credentials, and the conspiracy to use me. The lawyer walked me through all the legal options I had, from freezing assets to filing charges against Marcus. I kept all of this hidden from him. To the outside world, it seemed I was going along with his plans, but the truth was that I was already protecting myself, securing my future, and making sure justice would be done when the time came. I remained calm and composed on the surface, but deep down, I was preparing myself for the showdown I knew was coming, and I was more than ready for it. I remember the moment I pressed send on the email. It was a short note letting Marcus know that I was turning over control of the coding bootcamp to him. I told him I was finished, that I was done trying to hang on. I said it was all his now: the accounts, the code, the business. His greatest wish was about to come true. I knew Marcus would celebrate. I could picture him smiling to himself, thinking he'd gotten everything without a fight. But I also knew something else. I hadn't gotten weak. I hadn't given up. I had a plan in place, a way to make sure his triumph would be short-lived. The moment Marcus tried to log in and take control, everything fell apart. The codebase was a mess. Files were missing. Components were out of place, and nothing was functional. The bank accounts were frozen. The funds were unavailable. The investors were alarmed and started pulling their support immediately. The whole enterprise fell into chaos in a matter of minutes. This was no accident. I had made sure all the key components were routed through a separate backup under my control. I kept a clean, complete version safely put away, while the one Marcus received was a mess, a perfect illusion. His takeover fell to pieces just when he thought it was all his. To make sure there were consequences, I teamed up with investors to file a class action lawsuit against him. All the fraud, theft, and conspiracy were laid bare in a dramatic legal filing. The documents I had kept, the fake transactions, the unauthorized companies opened in my name, were now the center of the case against him. The result was chaos for Marcus. His reputation fell overnight. His ability to do business was suspended. The authorities were investigating him, and many people were turning against him. His future, which seemed so assured just days earlier, was now in ruins. Meanwhile, I remained calm and prepared. I had kept control over what mattered most: the true code, the real financial accounts, and my own future. His downfall was not a tragedy, it was justice. I fought back in the cleverest way I knew, and in the end, I won. I remember the moment I decided it was time to make everything public. I chose a different way to get the story out. A short article I wrote myself and put on a popular industry website. I called it How I Nearly Let My Business Be Stolen by My Own Husband. It was a powerful title, dramatic and true, and I hoped it would show everyone exactly what had happened and how close I came to losing everything I'd built. As soon as the article went live, it started spreading. Comments flowed in from people I hadn't heard from in years, former colleagues, journalists, investors, and people I barely knew. Everyone seemed shocked by what I had gone through. Some were horrified, some were supportive, some were angry, but nearly everyone was paying close attention. My phone kept ringing with messages and calls from journalists who wanted to know more about the fraud, about the fake transactions and dummy companies that were opened in my name. The media quickly jumped on the story. Reporters called me for interviews, blogs started writing their own stories, and soon the whole industry was talking about it. Everyone was asking the same questions. How did this happen? How much money was gone? Who else was involved? Marcus went from a charming entrepreneur to the face of financial fraud overnight. Boards that had previously supported him removed him. Partners cut ties immediately. His name fell off the lists of speakers at industry events and technology conferences. His reputation was in ruins. Whatever future opportunities he'd hoped for were gone in a flash. As the scandal grew, the authorities took a serious interest in the case. The FBI opened an investigation into his fraud and conspiracy. The financial transactions I provided, the fake companies, the routed payments, were all key components of their inquiry. I turned over all the documents I had carefully backed up and answered every question honestly. Whatever doubts I'd previously had about whether I'd done the right thing fell away. There was no turning back. I was helping bring the whole story into the light. My marriage was finished and the future I'd believed in was gone, but I felt a strange peace. The truth was out there now. I hadn't kept it hidden. I hadn't let him win. Whatever came next, I was going forward on my own terms. I fought back, and in the end, justice was going to be done. The day I went to court to file for divorce wasn't about giving up. It was about taking control and ending the nightmare Marcus had created. Staying in a marriage full of lies and betrayal was never an option. I planned to use every legal tool available to ensure he faced the consequences. Our prenup had a clause for a full forensic audit, which meant experts examined every financial detail closely. They uncovered fake transactions, hidden payments, and unauthorized companies opened under my name. The truth about Marcus's deceit was exposed clearly in the courtroom. The charges of identity fraud and breach of fiduciary duty were undeniable. During the trial, the evidence was laid out piece by piece, revealing the full extent of his schemes. Marcus wasn't just betraying me, he was betraying investors, partners, and institutions that had trusted him. The verdict was inevitable. When the judge declared him guilty, the weight of the moment settled in. Seeing the officers step forward to handcuff him brought a quiet finality to the ordeal. There was no satisfaction in watching his fall, only relief that justice was served. Leaving the courthouse, a calm sense of closure washed over me. The marriage was over, the legal battles had ended, and a new chapter was ready to begin. The road to this point had been difficult and filled with doubt, but standing up for myself was the strongest choice I made. I was ready to move forward with confidence, rebuild my life, and create a future on my own terms. 6 months after everything ended, I opened a new chapter in my life. I launched a tech incubator focused on supporting African American women in STEM fields. It was more than just a business. It was my way of giving back and creating opportunities for others who often face barriers in technology and entrepreneurship. The incubator offers mentorship, resources, and funding to help these women turn their ideas into reality. My work quickly gained attention. I was invited to speak at SXSW, one of the biggest technology and innovation events in the world. There, I shared my story, not the betrayal or pain, but the lessons I learned about digital trust, identity theft, and the importance of protecting generational wealth. I talked about how technology can empower, but also how it can be used against you if you're not careful. My message resonated with many, inspiring a new generation of tech leaders to be vigilant and resilient. Meanwhile, Marcus's world had changed drastically. After losing everything, he vanished from the public eye. He took on a new identity and worked quietly in IT support, far from the spotlight he once craved. He became a ghost in the very industry he had tried to control and manipulate. For me, the future is bright and full of promise. I turned my pain into power and built something meaningful from the ashes of betrayal. My new empire isn't just about technology. It's about hope, strength, and creating a legacy that no one can take away. I'm no longer just surviving. I'm leading, inspiring, and making a difference. Do you think I made the right choice by standing up to Marcus and building a new future on my own? Or should I have tried to save our marriage? I'd love to hear what you think. Please share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to hear more stories about strength, betrayal, and coming back stronger, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.